Hello, this is the Customer Service Training Aid by Frankie, Shannon, Lewis and Ellie. This will give you all you need to know in a customer service environment, training you from ServQual, EQ and IQ, transactional analysis and social media within a customer service environment.
ServQual. It's about customer perceptions and can be defined as how one customer would view a product or service as outstanding, another may view it as average. Additionally, a different customer may feel that the product or service offered was unacceptable, whilst another would feel satisfied. ServQual, standing for service quality, ultimately is how the customer perceives what you're offering them in reality and therefore how they build up their impression. ServQual is used by businesses to allow the analysis to improve the quality of their service. ServQual research aims to provide the answers into understanding and managing the customer's perceptions. It was conducted by 3 people, Valerie Zietmol, Professor A. Parasuraman and Leonard Berry in the United States. Their book, explaining their findings, is Delivering Service Quality and Balancing Customer Perceptions and Expectations, which was published in the 1990s. This was taken from Daffy's book and was a result of the ServQual research. This table shows you how customer perceptions of services are determined, and although they may differ from business to business, this table is an average and applies to most businesses. Reliability, which is 32%, this is built up by gaining the same outcome repeatedly, for example, a fully functioning product being produced time after time. Responsiveness, 22%, this is measured by the attentiveness in response to a stimulus, for example, responding to a customer's wants and needs and fulfilling them. Assurance, which is 19%, is measured by the act of making the customer feel at peace with their purchase and feel confidently reassured and certain with the quality of their purchase. Empathy, which is 16%, measures how the salesperson empathises and understands with what the customer wants. Tangibles, which is 11%, defining as the overall performance of the product or service offered, for example, the appearance and facilities included. The italics here, on the right hand side, are added by Daffy. They are the qualities in which he believes the customers use to understand each of the elements. Here's a quick video to summarise ServQual.
ServQual is an empirically derived method that may be used by a services organization to improve service quality. The method involves the development of an understanding of the perceived service needs of target customers. These measured perceptions of service quality for the organization in question are then compared against an organization deemed excellent. The resulting gap analysis may then be used as a driver for service quality improvement.
This part of the training will cover IQ and EQ in the customer service environment. Does anyone know what emotional intelligence is, what EQ is? No? You don't know at all? No idea at all?
Understanding emotions.
Okay. It's a measurement of an individual's emotional intelligence. Within customer service, how you interpret other people's emotions, how you react to those emotions. So really what you want to do is read the customer's mood and adapt your delivery of the information back to the customer in kind of a way that matches how they're feeling and how they deliver theirs. It's often split into self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy and social skills. The next slide we really see the importance of it. So if you're able to adapt to the reactions of the customer, you're able to interpret, empathise with the customer and potentially diffuse any difficult situations. So can you think of any difficult situations there might be? Go on, shout something out at me.
I think I had quite a bad experience at a restaurant. I did complain about it, but they handled it really well.
Okay.
And managed to diffuse me
and did they empathise with you?
They did to a degree, but it prevented me from getting worse. So yeah. It was dealt with appropriately.
So the manner that they used in response to your mood was appropriate and helped to diffuse the feelings you had. Perfect. Also lets us to understand the customer's needs and overcome sales hurdles. So especially in a sales environment, when you've got someone that isn't so sure about the information you've given them, which we'll cover in the IQ section, it gives you an idea of it, understand how they feel about it and try and overcome those hurdles that they're thinking, maybe, maybe not. But if you understand that mood and work around it with them, it makes it more likely. Understanding your own emotions and being self-aware of your emotions is really important, and being able to understand how other people are perceiving you can be the difference between a good customer experience and a bad one. If you've got a customer come in and they walk up to you and you might feel fine, but you've got a face like a bottom, you're going to give off the wrong vibes. Being able to increase the level of emotional intelligence you've got is going to be, great for any customer service environment. Does anyone know what IQ is? Can you tell me a bit about IQ?
You can do an IQ test.
More logical than compared to emotional.
IQ is basically, it's tested through a variety of methods. Mensa being the most famous, as you might have heard of Mensa testing before. It's going to give you a score. That score is open-ended, but the average, the population average is going to be around 100. I believe it's between 91 and 109 is the population average, but bang in the middle of that, the 100. Really, it's just giving you an idea of how well you reason as a person, or about how a customer would reason as a person in this case, and it differs from person to person. So one person, you could have two people sat in front of you and one's going to reason better than the other. Its importance in a customer service setting: there are going to be people that need a little bit more time. Their reasoning skills are varied. They're going to need simplified information, more in-depth information. Some people, it could be the other end, so it could not be more simplified. They might want complete technical specification sheets of all the information that there is on the product. So you're going to have people that need to communicate in different ways, and they are going to find it difficult to understand technical information. You're going to find people that only work with technical information. This guy, Victor Antonio, he's a little bit mental, so we'll go for it. But basically all he's describing is how using too much data, using too much technical information at the beginning of it can make it extremely difficult for someone with those lacking reasoning skills, for them to understand the actual purpose of the product.
Now let's zoom in on the brain. We talked about the logical piece, the emotional impact part, and also the survival mechanism of the brain. Now the logical side likes things to be sequential, but it also likes them to be simple. If it's too complicated, the brain's just going to be overwhelmed. Survival mechanism is just going to shut down and not really listen to you anymore as you're doing your presentation when you're talking to a customer. Think about it. You ever see those presentations where you walk into a room and somebody's going to present their material, and all of a sudden they pull up a slide, it has about 40 bullet points on there. And all of a sudden you're looking at all this information. If it's technical information, that's even worse. But there's a lot of information on that slide. Now here's what's happening. The brain is confused at this point. See, the brain can't do two things. It can't read the information and listen to the presenter at the same time. And because it becomes overwhelmed, it essentially shuts down. It's not paying attention. It's trying to grab information, but it's really not able to bring it to consolidate it together. And that's a problem. So what we need to do is first, when we're presenting to a customer and we have a product, let's give it meaning first. Let's give them the big picture first and then zoom in on the detail. Let's give them the big picture of how it's going to help them. Then let's zoom in on the specifics of how the product or service works. Get the idea? Steve Jobs was a master at this. When he first announced the iPod, did he show you all the data that looked like this? Did he talk about the ARM7 TDMI? Did he talk about the audio codecs? Did he talk about storage mediums and all that data? Did he talk about the large size 5 gigabytes? No, he didn't. Did he talk about batteries? What type of batteries? Did he talk about the displays? No, he didn't. See, Steve Jobs understood that he had to give you the big picture first because that's what really mattered. So what he did, he showed you the picture of the iPod. Here it is. Now, instead of giving you all the data, the specifics, the specifications of the iPod, what did he say? What did he say to connect with his audience? He said, forget the data, this is what he said: 1,000 songs in your pocket. Wow. There it is, the big picture, 1,000 songs in your pocket. Now you can then ask the follow-up question, well, how does that work? Well, great, now we can talk about the specifics. Get the idea? That's what you need to do. What's the big picture for your customer? How is it going to benefit them? And once they understand that concept, zoom in, give them the details if they want it. But if you've connected with them and they get it, great, move forward, close the deal.
A really important thing though at the end of that was he said that you give that first piece of information and then you carry on with the information if they want it. And that's, I think, an important aspect. If they want that further information, it's there, we're ready to give it to them. But if they don't, and they understand 1,000 songs in your pocket, and that's as far as their reasoning skills, reach, that's it. And that's the information they need.
Okay, so we're going to look at transactional analysis today. Anyone have any idea what a transactional analysis might be?
Some sort of change.
Yeah, anyone else?
How you deal with someone.
Okay, it's a theoretical framework which shows how we react to certain environments around us through our communication. It suggests that we work in 3 different states. So those states are parent, which is really controlling and or nurturing. You've got 2 different types. So with your parents, sometimes you'll find that they'll really tell you off if you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't be doing that, get out of the road now. Or they can be careful, you might get run over. So you've got 2 different extremes of a parent there. You've then got an adult state, which is kind of where this framework suggests that we all should be. We're all on the same level as each other. And then we've got the child state. So again, like we had with the parents, there's 2 different extremes. So this shows that we have an adaptive child who can adapt to different things around them. So if they were brought up and they were taught a certain way, they can usually copy that from their parents' state. And then we've got the free child who likes to be wild and kind of be a bit naughty. Like I said, we change states in response to the thoughts or events around us and what we experience. With customers, those customers might change the way they feel due to how you speak to them. They might come in and they'll feel fine, but then they experience a really bad service from you, so they can change the state that they feel they were in before. It's also known as the PAC model, so parent, adult and child. Parent means their thoughts and feelings are related to how they were parented when they were younger, so they can be caring, concerned, controlled, like we said before, and nurturing. And the adults, this is the medium one where we want to stay. They are respectful of others, they listen, they have a thoughtful response, and they really think through how they react to customers. And then we've got our child, who they feel excited, they can be fearful or helpless. So you can also find this with your employees as well, or other colleagues of yours. So you can have it inside the business, so internally and externally. So you may find that you're in your adult state when talking to a colleague, and then you could say to them, oh, please could you just help me out quickly? Could you help this customer? I'm really quite busy today. Your colleague might be having a really bad day and they'll say, no, I don't want to do that, why don't you do it? And so that can clash, but we'll look a bit into that further. So we've got our PAC model here, and really have a look at some of these words that we're using to describe each person, because you'll need to remember some of those later. We'll look into the parent one a bit more. We've got controlling and nurturing. Some of the negative sides of being a controlling parent, they can be quite critical. They can have quite an autocratic personality. They can put down and discount another person. Some customers may do this to you. They may come in and really put you down, make you feel really small, like you're a child. They'll be speaking to you like you're in a child ego state. And then you've got the really good ways of being controlling. So they can promote well-being, they can be constructive, organised and firm. You might find this with a manager of yours whilst you're working. They can be quite organised and control you in that way so that the day flows quite well. And then you've got your nurturing parent side. They can be quite smothering, invasive or overprotective. They're quite negative things to have. But you do find that some customers be quite invasive. They may say, what's that you're doing over there? What's going on here? I don't know what's happening. Then you've got caring, compassionate and supportive. So if there's something going wrong on the shop floor and there's a problem, maybe they need to evacuate, they can sometimes come over and say, what can I do to help? Is there anything we can do? And you can explain to them in whichever ego state, it should be your adult state, this is what's happening. If you could just leave quietly and quickly, then there'll be no problems. And then we'll look at the adult state. Like I said, this is the middle one that we all like to stay at. They're all quite positive things to be in your adult state. You can agree to disagree. If you can feel that there's an argument developing and you need to be quite mature about it, you can agree to disagree, even though that might not be what you necessarily want. You can see situations clearly, and you can compromise. Although if someone's speaking to you from a parent ego state, you don't necessarily have to be manipulated by them. If they're controlling you, you want to handle that quite well. How do you think you might handle it if you've got a customer and they come and say to you, they say, listen, we need you here at the till now, you need to come here, it's way too busy and I need some service. How would you maybe react in the adult ego state to that?
I think we try and calm the situation. Although you may not agree with them, you have to show to be agreeing. I'm not available at the moment, but I'll get a colleague to come and help you.
So that's almost like agreeing to disagree as well. So you're kind of merging them all together. And then we've got an irrational state with mutual respect. So all adult ego states should have respect for each other and all kind of work in harmony, whether that be with customers or other colleagues. You can show a balance between all three ego states, but in a good, harmonial way. And now we'll look at the child state. It can be adaptive or free. The customer, they can feel quite helpless, they can be immature, rebellious, vulnerable, and then you can have the good ones where they can be accommodating, they kind of do as they're told, but in a good way, assertive, cooperative, enthusiastic. Then with the free side of a child, they can be quite inconsiderate, which can be selfish. They might not think about other people's feelings. They can be egocentric and wild. So customers can be like this sometimes. They may think about themselves, they may want to be served first and not think about other customers, other priorities that might be in the store. Customers or colleagues can be creative, playful, curious, and you may not find this too often with a customer service. We have complementary transactions. This is when a message gets sent from one person and it's received quite well on the other end. I'm going to give you a little scenario of a complementary transaction when we speak to someone and we expect to have a good response back from them. Someone from a parental ego state comes over and they speak to you like you're a child. They say, you never have anything in stock, this store can't do anything right, what am I supposed to do? I'm definitely going to go somewhere else. In response, you may want to compliment how that ego state is talking to you. You could say, I'm really sorry, this won't happen again, and we can really try and help you here, reorder, and just accommodate and compliment each other like that. Then we've got cross transaction. So this is initiating a transaction and not getting the response that you expected. So if someone's speaking to you and you don't like how they're talking to you, you could have an abusive customer and they come to you and say, you're working far too slow on this till, you really need to be retrained. So they're trying to speak to you like you're a child. But in response, as the employee, you could say, please really calm down, that's not how we like to be spoken to here. Speak to them with a calm attitude. You may not even be a parental state, you should be an adult state, where you should be calm, think carefully about how you react, and then hopefully they should realise that you're actually being quite mature about it, and they should respond and go back to that adult state and speak to you like you are an adult. We've then got ulterior transactions. This is starting off in an adult ego state and then maybe going to a different state when someone speaks to you in a certain way. You could say to someone, I'm really sorry, we don't actually have that product in stock right now. Is there anything else I can do? You're speaking to them like they're an adult. Although in response, you could get a parental response where they can be quite nurturing and they could say, that's okay, I was going to go somewhere else anyway and I'll just get the product somewhere else. So they are kind of speaking to you like you're a child, just by kind of dismissing you, and it would probably make you feel, oh, okay then, I won't sell you this, you want to buy it somewhere else. It might make you feel a bit small, which can sometimes make you feel like a child here. I'm going to give you some scenarios now, see if you can work this out and see what ego state you might think you might react to. So it says a customer is called to make a complaint. They say the product's been great, but the customer service received was really appalling. Is the customer being a critical parent? What should your transaction in return be to this customer speaking on the phone to you like this? If they're saying the service was appalling, but the product was great. What kind of ego state do you think they're in?
I suppose it depends really on how they're speaking to you, because they could just be speaking to you in the nicest possible way, which means that they are speaking to you like an adult, but then if they're cross, then you could be you could be made to feel like a child.
So do you think depending on their tone of voice,
it would be
they
very
could be
much
speaking from an adult to an adult?
Yeah.
So what would your response be, or your transaction in return be?
Well, again, it would be how they're behaving. So if they're speaking to you like an adult, you would return it as an adult. If they are speaking to you like a negative parent, then you've either got the choice where you can turn around and say, look, I will deal with you when you calmed down, or you can be manipulated as the child.
Yeah. I've got a little task for you now. We've got our parents and our adult and our child. So I want you to obviously work together, see which personality or attribute you think might match each one. Which three do you think are the most important in our job role here? Which do you think is the most important in a workplace? Communicating with customers. Planning is the adult state, which is good. Helping, adult 2. Cooperating, adult also. Nurturing is parent. And analysing is adult. Most of yours are adults. In theory, that would be brilliant for in the workplace, so that's really well done.
Today I'm going to be teaching you on social media and why it's used to communicate with customers. Who here is using social media? Everyone. And what social media sites do you use?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat.
Yeah. How many people do you think in the world have a Facebook account? Million, billion,
Billions.
billions. And how many billion?
I wouldn't know how many's in the world.
Right.
1.2.
100 billion
That's what I
of
said.
Facebook users. Facebook is currently the largest social media site. The Facebook and Twitter are getting a large amount of 18 to 29 users, as 72%, and there's also 43% of age 65 plus are using Facebook and Twitter, which is good because it means it's not just the young teenagers or young people that are using it, it's all ages. In 2012 there were 100 billion Facebook users, 500 million Twitter users, 100 million Instagram users. Businesses are taking advantage of those statistics and going on to social media to communicate with customers as a way of marketing or customer service. Facebook is currently the largest social media site, and it was founded in 2004 with 618 million daily active users and 13 million small businesses using Facebook also. And there's large businesses such as McDonald's, Starbucks, Burberry, Coca-Cola, etc. Customers are more likely to use Facebook when they're contacting a business rather than emailing, writing to them or phoning them, as they think it's more convenient, they'll get a speedy response from them, and they just prefer to do it over Facebook as they've got access to it on the phones or laptops or iPads now. Different age groups also might have different perceptions or expectations of customer service on social media. So businesses have to be careful with what they write into customers. Twitter has 500 million daily users. It's not as big as Facebook, but it's definitely creeping up there. Forbes 2014 said that businesses have now set up customer service roles for social media to answer for any support on Twitter and to answer any queries or questions that they get from customers regarding orders customers have placed or products customers have bought, or just general questions regarding the business. Twitter's popularity does draw attention to businesses because they want to reach masses of customers and over a quick period of time. That's also going to be less costly than sending out letters. Scrum 2013 cited a study that was carried out by Simply Measured, in which recorded that 30% of brands that are on Twitter have now dedicated a time period for staff to deal with customer service issues on Twitter, and the average response time of how long the employees will be getting back to the customers will be 5.1 hours. Examples of this on Twitter are Victoria's Secret, Gap, Oreo, McDonald's. I've got a little YouTube clip, and this is how to deliver customer service through social media sites.
Expectations have shifted. Customers are talking to each other online, reviewing the services and products they use, and sharing their opinions and experiences. And when a problem does arise, they're not going to wait on hold. Customers are demanding service through their channels on their schedule. The social phone is ringing. Is your organization listening for it? Are you answering? Social engagement, listening and responding on the web, gives organizations an opportunity to surprise and delight customers in new and unexpected ways. Through social listening, you can show your organization really cares about your customer's experience. Customer support can please customers by going where the customers are to solve their problems when they express a need. By listening to the social web for customer pain points, and then providing meaningful feedback to those who build the product or provide the service, the next version can be right before it leaves the shop. Social communities form on the web by people seeking others with shared interests, aspirations, and goals. Customer service can nurture and foster these online communities, and happy customers are happy community members.
So what did you learn from that video? Anything? Nothing?
Everyone posts on social media their experiences,
Yeah.
rather than going to the company direct.
Yeah. So other customers are listening to what other customers are saying about that business maybe before they purchase anything from them.
And reviews and all, people kind of rely on them.
Yeah, customer reviews are very important to other customers because obviously those customers have tried out the product, and customers are more likely to take someone more seriously as a customer than a business. So, is there anything else you learned? We'll go on to the next one now. Internal communication. Social media is now being used to communicate with internal customers of the business. So that's employees and shareholders. They could create a Facebook page or a Twitter account, but probably Facebook page because that might be more easier for all of the employees to communicate. This is done because they want to promote team building with the employees, get employees talking to each other, let employees share their experience of what they've done throughout the day, like anything trivial from eating breakfast to like an embarrassing moment that happened to them down the pub. Just anything that will make them smile and make them enjoy their Facebook page with their work colleagues. And it's also done as well for, say, employees would like to speak to their manager about requesting holiday but they're not at work, so say it's a Saturday and they want to book something, so just write on the Facebook page and the managers can write back more easily and more quicker than say if it was an email when they're not going to be at work. This is a really good way of speaking to the employees and making sure your employees are just enjoying their job really. Also it's good for managers to write feedback onto the pages. That could be to say Shop Swindon have done really well in customer service, they got 89% mystery shop. So it's just something that employees can be recognised at and feel like they're doing a good job. Now we're on external communication. We touched on that a lot, and that's obviously speaking to your external customers. It's just could be through Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube. Generally speaking to the customers, just letting them know that you're there to support them, and it's a much quicker way, more accessible than if you were to send a letter out or to phone round every single customer that you have on your mailing list.